Ironflame is back, and their new album has just come out. How does it sound? Well, let's dive in and find out. Hello, YouTube. My name is Alan, and I am happy to be here on Heavy Metallurgy today to review the new Ironflame album. It is called Kingdom Torn Asunder, and it released July 26th from High Roller Records. This is the band's fifth full-length album. And the last one, Where Madness Dwells, came out in 2022 and was an outstanding release from that year as well. In 2023, the band released Compendium, which was uh, not necessarily greatest hits, but collected some, bonus tracks, a few rare things they had done, made for a nice collection for completists. And 2024 sees the band come right back with another full-length album. So things have been pretty busy in the Iron Flame camp. Speaking of that camp, it's technically a pretty small one-man camp. Iron Flame is the brainchild of Andrew DeCagna. Andrew, of course, has his fingers in a lot of different really good heavy metal projects. He works with Nachachwin, Icarus Witch, has Iron Flame going, and many, many others. Contributed to the Cold Fills demos from a few years ago that were really good. So very, very talented musician. Also a super nice guy. I've been fortunate enough to get to chat with him a couple of times on live streams over on the Heavy Metallurgy channel. So yeah, just a super nice guy who knows his metal and has talent apparently just leaking out of him at all times to be able to balance so many different projects that all put out quality material. If you are unfamiliar with Iron Flame somehow, Iron Flame kind of, sits right in the sweet spot on the Venn diagram where classic 1980s metal overlaps a little bit with power metal, and those two overlap a little bit with epic metal. There are elements of all three of those things in Iron Flame's sound. A lot of the structures and stuff, yes, come from your, very straightforward kind of, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, all the greats from the 1980s. But there's definitely, a little bit more of, the double bass, driving powers and rhythms that we tend to associate with European power metal bands. The good ones, to be clear, not the, cheesy ones. We'll come back to that point. But, lyrically, Image, it is very much based on sort of, the fantasy sword and sorcery material that makes up a lot of, the epic metal codex. So Iron Flame just, yeah, kind of puts all of those together. I remember talking with Andrew once and kind of asking him, does he consider the project, traditional metal or power metal? And he thinks of it as more of a traditional metal project. But yeah, there certainly is, a power metal and an epic metal component there as well. And those three, well, they fit together absolutely perfectly in the hands of someone like Andrew. Iron Flames had a good run of albums. All of their albums have been quality. I think they really peaked with Where Madness Dwells. But the new album, Kingdom Torn Asunder, is right there on par with that one, if it does have a few little differences. First off, it once again has really classy looking packaging, great cover art. Uh, I don't have, full liner notes with this one, so I don't know if this particular piece is a Frank Frazetta original or just somebody who has really studied Frank's work and knows how to emulate it really, really well. I did some poking around online trying to see if I could find this image associated with like a Frazetta catalog or anthology, and I didn't. But it definitely invokes, the image of the Death Dealer character for sure. So the person who's doing the art, whether it was Frank or someone later in that style, definitely knows exactly what they're doing. And it kind of captures the feel of Iron Flame perfectly. Again, sort of, the high fantasy, but, not the happy elves riding dolphins, riding dragons kind of stuff that um, is sometimes a little bit too saccharine for this style. No, this is, a lot more straightforward, epic, but with the heroic twist, but not a cheesy twist whatsoever. And that's one of the big points that puts Iron Flame ahead of a lot of their colleagues. Yeah, Andrew crafts these songs so that again, they have all the elements and trappings of, your classic metal favorites, His vocals have just gotten better and better over time, so he's able to deliver with a lot of power and sincerity and absolutely zero cheese factor. Even though yes, there are songs here about warriors and swords and battles and a lot of the the common topics for this particular style of metal, it never comes across as contrived. There's never a moment when you want to roll your eyes and feel like, oh Lord, break out the furry loincloths. Here we go again. It always feels a cut above all the rest. And listening to Kingdom Torn Asunder, all of that is in place just like it has been on the other Ironflame albums. With this particular album, the band that kept coming to mind most often in terms of a point of reference for folks is early Nocturnal Rites when Anders Zachrisson was still the vocalist of the band. Things like the great opening track here, Blood and Honor, it's a dead ringer for material that could have been on Nocturnal Rites' Tales of Mystery and Imagination album. Blood and Honor, faster track, and a great way to start this epic album. Triumph and virtue shall be heaped upon her, a sacred oath taken in blood and honor, yeah. So yes, as you can hear, just the best elements of really classy European power metal worked into those traditional metal structures with great vocals, great guitar work. And again, Andrews does essentially everything on the Ironflame albums. Yes, he has some guests come in to, help out with different things here and there. And obviously he has a great supporting cast for when the band does live outings. But it's really impressive that, you have one guy essentially handling 99% of this material. You don't often see that in bands playing this style of heavy metal. When you think of, one-man metal projects, you tend to think of things like, raw black metal, things where you can lean into a lot of, atmosphere and emotion to carry the weight. Not, epic power metal or heavy metal albums where, yes, you've got to have, really strong guitar work. You've got to have, really strong, double bass presence and percussion and everything, and a good vocalist as well. Andrew's got those bases covered. Not every track on Kingdom Torn Asunder is barreling forward like Blood and Honor, however. The album is nicely varied with some songs that are going for more of a mid-tempo pace and some that are a little bit in between. So it never feels like you're hearing the same song over and over again in terms of pacing whatsoever. And the songs in these other kind of slower modes work just as well as the fast ones. A great example of everything that's being done right here is track number 3, Majesty of Steel. The glory of the open road. So as you can hear there, once again, sort of, great soaring vocals. If you're just kind of casually listening to this, it's easy to picture that, here's another song about, epic warrior, must be a sword and a battle and a dragon in there somewhere. But if you pay a little more attention to the lyrics, it's actually a song about driving your car really fast. Yes, it's basically taking the old I can't drive 55 trope, putting it into the, epic metal kind of a paradigm, and it worked fantastic, didn't it? It doesn't sound the least bit cheesy. It doesn't sound like, just some kind of, odd, jokey song whatsoever. He's able to take this, very, very, very common topic in all of rock music and still make it kind of sound classy and grand and, well, majestic. The Majesty of Steel. There you go. That's another great thing, about band like Ironflame. I've discussed on my own channel before how, we see a decent number of power metal bands these days really wanting to lean into, the silliness and the cheesiness of these styles of metal. And Ironflame couldn't be farther from that. Nothing here ever feels like it's going to be, a silly or just, a quick, cheap cash in to get people to chant and sing and bounce around with a rubber duck in the audience or some crap like that. No, this is absolutely the real deal. This is the style done right and practically to perfection. If you want one more fast song recommendation to go out on, Riding the Dragons is one of the later tracks on the album, and just shows that once again, from start to finish, this is a very solid listen. There are no weak tracks whatsoever from track number 1 all the way to track 8.
Glory calls, so mount up your dragons and take to the sky if you dare. Protecting the ones that we love.
It is worth noting that if you order the CD, there are 2 bonus tracks. So instead of just 8 new Ironflame songs, you can have 10. I do not have the bonus tracks myself. I've purchased this from Bandcamp, and the download didn't have the bonus tracks, so sad. I'll pick it up on CD when I get a chance, but I wanted to hear it on day 1 and be able to get a review up for it to kind of help spread the word that Ironflame is back out with another fantastic album. I do feel like Ironflame gets a little bit overlooked in the conversation around current US power metal or traditional metal. Again, whichever way you want to call it, I think it's fine. This band very much straddles that line, and it's not an insult to put it in one side or the other, or just call it a combination of both. But I do think it's an insult that this band's name doesn't come up more often. There are a lot of other bands in comparable styles that, get more hype and get more push, and a lot of those are good acts, to be sure. But Ironflame should definitely be right there beside them. Yeah, as I said, I've already invoked the name of Early Nocturnal Rites, which was some of the best European power metal to be released in the late 90s and early 2000s. And the slower tracks for Ironflame, again, show that Andrew's got, another dimension here as well. Some of those more mid-paced tracks actually remind me a bit of, Sumerland's Dreamkiller album, which made waves a couple of years ago. So yeah, take something that falls in between Tales of Mystery and Imagination and, a heavier, a little more thundering version of Sumerland's, and exactly what to expect from Ironflame. I feel like, they really should be one of the first names mentioned whenever anybody is talking about all the great kind of true classic heavy metal that is coming out of the United States in recent years. All right, that is going to do it for this review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for the new Ironflame album wherever you shop for your records, or keep it in mind next time you place an order. I know high roller stuff is not always easy to get in the US and can be a little expensive, but for an album of this quality, it's worth the few extra bucks you might have to pay to secure a copy for yourself. Absolutely. Will this one be in my end of year best of list? It's definitely going to be in the list of names I have to start with, for sure. There's been some other really good traditional metal albums dropped this year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Ironflame sitting there in the top 10 by the time it's done. The album's just fantastic all the way through, start to finish. So big congrats to Andrew on putting out another fine album. 5 studio albums later, Ironflame has never dropped a bad one. They're one of the few bands these days that I feel like just can do no wrong. He's absolutely got it nailed down. And like I said, first thing I did on Friday, July 26th, when this came out, got up, stumbled to computer, typed name into Bandcamp, and gave them my money as soon as I could. So hopefully some of you will decide to do the same thing. Until next time, keep an eye out for more content here on Heavy Metallurgy, with live streams on Wednesdays and Fridays, and more album reviews as fast as we can get them up. There's a lot of excellent stuff that's been coming out lately, and some things that we weren't that into that we wanted to review as well, just to let you know what's coming out. Check out the reviews, and until next time, keep banging your head.
It's time to close your eyes and let your